Hi there, welcome back to my channel. Today we're making the best banana cottage cheese muffins. Soft, fluffy, and packed with protein. So make sure you stick around because we have step-by-step instructions coming up, and they are really simple. And I'm also going to share with you some tips and tricks for making these banana cottage cheese muffins so that they will turn out perfectly every single time. So if you're ready to get started, let's jump right in. Now these banana nut muffins are actually an offshoot of my famous protein muffins. I love those things. You guys have been asking for it, you wanted it, you got it. The reason why I like cottage cheese is because it adds extra protein without adding extra fat or calories. It also gives a very nice creamy texture. So what we're gonna do is take our bananas and mash them up in a bowl. Now for this recipe we need 3 medium-sized bananas. If you don't have 3 ripe bananas, just use however many ripe bananas you do have. For example, if you only had 2, it would be fine. But if you have 4, you can totally use 4. Just keep in mind, the more bananas you use, the sweeter your muffins will turn out. So if you're using less than 3 bananas, I would suggest adding a tablespoon or 2 of honey or maple syrup to your liking. Next, we're gonna add half a cup of low-fat cottage cheese. You can use full-fat cottage cheese, but I always like to go for the low-fat version because it has a little bit less calories and it's still just as good. But again, if you only have full-fat cottage cheese, just use that. We're also going to add 2 large eggs and 2 tablespoons of honey. Now I know I just mentioned if you're using less than 3 bananas, you might want to add a little bit more honey, but today I'm using 3 bananas, so I'm just gonna stick with 2 tablespoons of honey. However, you could always add a little more to your liking. Next, we're gonna add 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract, and now we're gonna mix everything together. Make sure all of the ingredients are well combined, and then set this aside for now. In another bowl, we're gonna mix together our dry ingredients. So we have 1 and 2 cups of all-purpose flour. You can use whole wheat flour, oat flour, almond flour, coconut flour. Basically whatever flour that you use, I just want you to keep in mind that the texture of your muffins might change. All-purpose flour is just going to give us that nice, soft, fluffy texture that we're looking for. Next, we're gonna add 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder. This is going to help our muffins rise and become nice and fluffy. We're also going to add 1/4 of a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. This is optional. You don't have to add it if you don't want to. But I just find that the flavor of the cinnamon complements the banana and the cottage cheese really nicely, so I like to add it. And last but not least, we're gonna add 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And again, everything is nicely combined. We're gonna pour our wet ingredients into our dry ingredients, and we're gonna fold everything together until just combined. You don't want to overbeat your batter. Overbeating your batter can develop the gluten in the flour, and this can result in tough muffins. Nobody wants tough muffins, so we just want to make sure everything is evenly distributed, and then we're gonna stop. Now we're gonna grab our muffin tins. I've already greased mine. But if you haven't greased yours, you could just use some butter or coconut oil, or you could just spray them with some non-stick cooking spray. That's totally fine. And we're gonna fill each muffin cup about 2/3 full. I like to use an ice cream scoop to make sure that each muffin cup is filled evenly. But if you don't have an ice cream scoop, you could just use a spoon. And we're going to smooth out the tops of our muffins with the back of a spoon. Now I forgot to mention earlier, but you can totally add nuts or chocolate chips or blueberries or cranberries. Just make sure to add them at the end when we combine the wet and dry ingredients. So after you've filled all of your muffin cups, we're going to bake them in a preheated oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 18 to 20 minutes, or until a wooden toothpick inserted into the center comes out clean. While the muffins are baking, we can prepare the topping. So I like to take some butter, a good amount of butter, and I like to smear it on top of my toaster oven rack. Now you can use any type of bread or muffin rack. It doesn't matter. And I like to put the rack over top of my toaster oven while the muffins are baking. That way the heat from the toaster oven radiates onto the top of the muffins. This helps the tops of the muffins brown and become crispy. And we want that nice crispy outer layer. And here are our muffins. They look amazing. I can smell them from downstairs. They smell amazing. We're going to take them out of the oven and we're going to place them on our prepared rack. Now I know that we just put them on the rack, but we actually want to let them cool on the rack for at least 10 minutes before we serve them. Otherwise, they'll just fall apart. Trust me, you don't want that. And while the muffins are cooling, we can prepare the peanut butter or butter topping. And you can see that the rack is starting to brown. That's exactly what we want. And I'm gonna take my muffins off the rack and I'm gonna give them a little tap on the counter just to make sure that they are level. So here are our muffins. They look beautiful. We're gonna go ahead and slice open a muffin and we're gonna add a generous amount of butter. I know that's a lot of butter. I'm a butter lover. So if you don't want to add that much butter, you don't have to. But I love the way that the butter complements the flavors of the banana and the cottage cheese. It really takes it to a whole another level. So I recommend trying it out with a good amount of butter or peanut butter. Another thing that you can do is you can sprinkle some powdered sugar on top. But I'm not gonna do that today because I just want to focus on the banana and cottage cheese flavor. So here are our delicious banana cottage cheese muffins. They are warm, they are fresh, they are made with wholesome nutritious ingredients, and they are simply delicious. I'm telling you guys, try them out. Let me know how you like them in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.